What is going on? My name is Psyche and welcome back to Dead Cells. Today we're going to be playing some Brutality, and I'm going to feature a very special weapon today. And this weapon was recently buffed in the 2.4 update, and that is the Impaler. Now on first glance, the Impaler really doesn't do too much in terms of damage or potential, seeing that it only does crits when you hit enemies against the wall. But today I'm going to showcase to you guys why this item is still actually very good. Now the first thing that might come to your mind right now when you watch this video is that, now you might be thinking right now, why are you playing on custom mode, Psyche? This isn't what you normally do, right? Well, as it turns out, I find that a lot of my runs, especially the ones I'm trying to showcase, are becoming very specific in the sense that I only want to play like a specific set of items in order to showcase the items that I actually want to put out on YouTube. But the thing is though, as I've showcased more and more items, I have to kind of limit myself to search for the exact weapons that I need to actually showcase it, because I find that a lot of my runs, especially the last run that you guys saw, the Magic Missile run, I originally wanted to pair it up with the Boomerang, however I just couldn't find it in the shop. And it's kind of frustrating because that was also one of the weapons I wanted to showcase. But in this case, because the Impaler happens to pair up really well with a specific item, which is the Assault Shield, which I almost never use actually, but today you'll actually see that it's very viable. So for this game, I have restricted myself to only having the Impaler as well as a couple of shields in the item pool. However, I've left the skills untouched, so I can still come across every type of skill in the game, so there's still a bit more decision making. I go to the Promenade of the Banished, and I almost never come here because if you guys saw my biomes guide, the fact that you have to deal with the Protectors and the failed experiments and the Bombardiers is just way too much. I just find that the risk greatly outweighs the reward. But the reason why I'm coming here is because I wanted to find Mama Tick. And as you guys know, if you go to the Toxic Sewers, you can never fight Mama Tick, which I think should be changed honestly. But here we are playing on the new patch. I have a lot more showcase runs to put out for you guys, so make sure to stay tuned for those. That being said, I am also planning to do a boss guide in the near future. Most likely the video right after this one will be the boss guide. So I recently put out my Hades comparison video on YouTube. I believe this is the first video on my channel which I actually happened to write a script for. Because as you might imagine, putting out such a opinionated video is gonna require a lot of research and you can't really afford to mess up. But this was a new type of video that I wanted to experiment with. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It may seem like I'm critiquing on Hades a bit too much, but honestly I really like the game as well. But moving right along in the Prisoner Depths. Now, I think it's always fun for a game such as Dead Cells to experiment things that you've never done before. I understand that a lot of people are still stuck on certain BC levels, and I think in that case, if you wanted to just play a run that you're comfortable with so you can actually win easier, then yeah, definitely go for it. Because I would say a lot of the fun in this game, especially at 5 BC, is when you actually beat the game and you start having fun trying out all the different weapons. But today my job here is to just show to you guys that the Impaler actually works, it's not just a meme weapon, and the buff is actually very substantial. As you can see here, the combo right now is to just use the Assault Shield to push enemies into the wall so that you can deal critical hits. Now you might see here that when I push the enemies using the Assault Shield, I'm actually pushing it a lot further than you're actually supposed to, because the method that I'm using here with the Assault Shield is the one they use for speedruns, because I believe if you press the shield button and then the roll button right afterwards, you can actually dash a lot faster and further with the Assault Shield. Of course, I'm no speedrunner, you'll see me messing this up a couple of times, and sometimes that just leads to unnecessary damage, so that's a little unfortunate, but honestly, what can you do? I anticipate that a lot of my runs in the future will be in custom mode as well, unless I just really feel like playing a normal mode, because like I said before, I find that a lot of weapons I want to try out are becoming extremely limited, and they are very specific set of items that I want to use. That being said, I think there's still a lot of strategy when it comes to using the Impaler, because you actually have to find the right biomes where there are a lot of walls so you can actually deal critical hits. And here against this tick monster, you'll see me struggling quite a lot. Part of this is because I keep messing up the timing of the Assault Shield, because it is very different from a lot of the other shields. Well, actually all of the other shields. You can definitely do more things that you cannot do with every other shield in the game, and honestly, it's kind of fun, but kind of frustrating when you don't pull it off. And here I decided to heal up because I was getting kind of low on health and I really didn't want to restart the run. I know some people that if they do not very well in the first biome, they just restart the run, which I don't do myself. Even if I'm only down to like 1% of my health in the prisoner's quarters, I would still try to continue the run. I think adapting is a big part of the playstyle, because even if you're low on health, you can still find other ways to heal back up. But in a second here, you'll see me get a very early curse chest in the Morass of the Banished. Now, I wasn't feeling too confident right now because I have actually took a lot of hits before coming to the curse chest, so I really gotta take this one slow. But luckily, I would say the Morass of the Banished has one of the most easiest curses in the game, and it makes me wonder that if I find the curse chest early, there might be another one. For those that don't know, for biomes that have a guaranteed curse chest, there is a 10% chance for a second one to spawn. And against these types of enemies, even when cursed, I'm gonna try to not use the assault shield because honestly, I'm not too confident with my skills with this shield. Sometimes I still mess up the dash when I use it. But finally, summer is just right around the corner. Now, I don't really have too much plans for the summer other than taking classes and making YouTube videos. But as of yesterday, July the 1st, the city in my area has finally lifted the mandatory use of face masks, so you don't actually have to use it in public anymore. Which honestly makes a lot of sense considering that it's becoming extremely hot and the face masks really doesn't make it any better. But lately, here where I was living, we had a heat wave over the last weekend. The temperature was like spiking up to around 40 degrees Celsius, which is extremely abnormal in my area. Because here in Canada, a lot of the houses don't have air conditioning because the temperature really doesn't get too high to warrant it. Most of the times we just get like 30 degrees in the summer, which is really not that bad. But last weekend specifically, we reached like over 40 degrees, which is absolutely insane. And according to some statistics, we were actually like the hottest place on the planet just for that weekend. We are reaching the season where everything is dry, so stuff like forest fires will become more commonplace because for some reason one of those happens every single year where I am. I know in like California or Florida it can get up to 40 degrees easily, but honestly I haven't been to the US ever since the pandemic started, so I really don't know too much. I'm definitely the type of person that prefers to be cold rather than hot, because when you're just sitting around and doing nothing and getting sweaty about it, it's just very not a pleasant feeling. But this run is doing pretty well, I would say. I'm trying out Adrenaline, at least I think that's what it's called, which recovers health. I believe this is also buffed in 2.4. From what I can tell, I have tested it a few times before, and I know a lot of other people say it's actually kind of decent now. So I think, including with the shield, you can actually pull off the near miss very easily, because as soon as you roll at the last second, you can heal some health back. And here against Mama Tick, I knew this was the boss I wanted to fight because I knew that the Impaler always did critical hits because Mama Tick is always propped up against the wall. And here against the scythe phase, just sit still and you should be fine. Now parrying the scythes with the assault shield was not something I'm very comfortable with, as you'll see in a second here, but luckily I was able to get a lot of my health back actually. And already we're moving on to the second scythe phase. And I knew at this point one of my skills, namely the flamethrower turret, is just kind of bricked right now since it doesn't work. But honestly, it's not as bad as carrying like the torch to the Mama Tick fight, because carrying a weapon that doesn't work just feels really bad comparing to carrying a skill that doesn't work. And there against the Mama Tick's melee attack, I actually dashed into the attack to parry it, which I wanted to try it out, and it actually ended up working. But here, as you can see, if I jump in the air, it's guaranteed to do a critical hit on the boss. And just like that, I'm able to clear Mama Tick. Moving on to the graveyard. I knew that the giant was not a boss I wanted to fight in this biome, in this run, so I ended up going to Timekeeper, I believe. And honestly, I like to shake things up as well, though I try to go to the giant almost every single run because the benefits are just way too good. Speaking of which, I'm planning to do like a video where I talk about what changes the game needs to have in the future to make it even better. And I think changing the bonus scroll stats you get from skipping High Peak Castle is something that needs to be addressed. because at the moment there's just too much incentive to go for Giant. At the same time, I'm also attempting to avoid the Distillery biome, namely because I feel that the biome right now is a bit bugged, because some of the trap puzzles, you probably noticed by now that a lot of traps in the Distillery is really only suited for going in one direction. So like if you're trying to go from top to bottom, then you'll find the trap to be much easier to deal with rather than going from the bottom to the top. It might seem a little confusing what I'm saying right now, but honestly, if you go to the Distillery, you'll know what I'm talking about. A lot of the traps just feel really uncomfortable, and it feels really punishing when you get hit. But yeah, speaking of which, I just kinda got hit myself because I wasn't paying attention. Gonna find the curse chest right now. So this is gonna be the third curse chest that I come across today. I've seen some argument that players don't like the idea that curse chests are pretty much mandatory on higher BC levels, but honestly I don't mind it too much. Forcing players to take curse chests is really not too much of a big deal. It's really just kinda like a gameplay change, to be honest. And I think taking curse chests is something every player should do anyways, because you just get a lot of rewards for doing it. I mean, this is one of the games that's emphasized for having a high risk, high reward type of gameplay. But here I'm going to go to the Forgotten Sepulcher, which I haven't been here for a very long time. We're gonna get the fourth and final curse chest of this run, and in the shop I replaced the flamethrower turret with the grappling hook because I wanted to try it out. I find that a lot of the skills, even if you don't have something that synergizes well with it, they're actually still very strong. But in the Forgotten Sepulcher, you just have to watch out for the light sources. I do plan on doing a guide for this biome, but honestly, I think that if you're running out of light and you're still like fighting enemies, the best thing for you to do at that moment is to just keep going forward. If you go back, I would say you're probably gonna take some damage from the darkness. And here, that was a very close call, you see in a second. Just barely missed that mummy by like an inch. I really wasn't expecting it to jump out of nowhere. I know the mummy is exclusive to this biome only, and I probably wouldn't mind it seeing in other biomes as well. But it is one of the most annoying monsters to deal with in the game, I believe, because the range on that slam attack is very big. But as you can see here, the adrenaline mutation is doing a lot of work actually. I'm able to heal back up relatively easily, so honestly I might actually think this mutation might be worth your time. But starting from around this biome, you'll see that I don't actually try to use the assault shield very often now, because if you just look at the damage done by the Impaler, it's actually still very good, even if you don't pull off the critical hits. Now I believe the Impaler, even if you don't pull off the crits, it does more damage than the shovel, which is very surprising to me. I know they also buff shovel as well, but I think it can be even stronger than it is now. That being said, the crit condition on the Impaler is very hard to pull off in the first place, so I don't really mind being like this. So I don't mind it dealing a lot of damage regardless if you pull off crits or not. But I'm pretty much done with the biome at this point, and I'm going to go fight the Timekeeper, because I think this boss is easier to get into a wall than the Scarecrow, because the Scarecrow kind of just follows you around. But you'll see later in this fight, I make a mistake right away pulling the Timekeeper towards me, and I didn't think the shurikens actually did damage like that. But Assault Shield is making short work of the Timekeeper's attacks, and I just have to be very aggressive in this fight. So I've already lost the no-hit, but I'm still doing relatively well actually, and I've already reached the second phase of the fight. Now I knew at this point I took a lot of damage. This one's gonna be pretty tricky. So I just tried to run around the arena like a madman, trying to avoid attacks and try to pull off parries, because I think I just need to somehow win this fight, regardless of what kind of tactics I use. I'm gonna get caught by the Timekeeper in a second, but I'm able to parry it. Draw my turrets, use my grappling hook. Surprisingly, even having taken a lot of damage, the healing that I've done in this fight has been very good. So the health I lost wasn't actually too much, and I'm going to move on to the High Peak Castle because I just wanted to avoid Distillery. And as you can see here in my inventory, I've actually picked up Mushroom Boy in the transition area because I wanted to try it out. Since if you read the text, Mushroom Boy knocks back enemies, and I thought it might be a really interesting combination with the Impaler. Mushroom Boy knocks them into the walls, stuns them, and then I get in with some attacks. But as you see in a second here, Mushroom Boy isn't too reliable because I find that the knockback done by the Mushroom Boy isn't too substantial. And here, of course, the bane of my existence, the Royal Guards in High Peak Castle. are just some of the most annoying monsters to deal with in the game, so I think it's really in your best interest to not stay in this biome for too long. I do think that skipping the giant gives you way too many rewards, because I think either they increase the amount of rewards you get in the distillery or high peak castle, or they decrease the rewards that you get for skipping them when you fight giant. And some of the times when I'm recording runs for YouTube, I just find myself going to the other 2 bosses simply because I wanted to shake things up, even though I probably have a much better time with the run if I just fought giant. And here in this shop, I just decided enough is enough. Mushroom Boy doesn't make the cut here, so I decided to just replace it with the good old flamethrower turret. But I cut a lot of the portion of this biome because I don't think it's too interesting, and we're gonna get right into the Hand of the King fight. So let's see how the Impaler holds up in this boss fight that you can't even pull off crits in, because the walls are kind of separated by the spikes, so I really just have to depend on the pure DPS of the Impaler here. And as you can see, it's actually still doing relatively well. I have replaced the Assault Shield in my backpack with the Frontline Shield because I'm really not too comfortable using it in this fight. And it's not like the Assault Shield really did too much in this encounter anyways. But we're gonna keep on putting up the pressure, do some parries, and eventually the Hand of the King will move on to the second phase where he summons the monsters. I have picked up extended healing just for this fight, and I wanted to see how good it did. That being said, I do think that the emergency triage nerf was a little bit unnecessary. I don't really see the problem with it being the previous version, but finally we're gonna get in for the kill, but unfortunately I did lose the no-hit. So with boss fights, the goal I'm trying to do is to just, when disengagement procs, when I'm on really low health, I just drink the potion, and since it protects me for like 5 seconds anyways, I can get some pretty safe healing in. And extended healing has been buffed in the recent patch, though one can argue it's also been nerfed because you also deal additional damage when you're healing, but the thing is now it only heals over the course of 10 seconds instead of 20. So you do have 10 seconds less of a damage boost. Now, I'm not switching back to the Assault Shield in this biome simply because I think the Astrolab isn't a biome that suits the Assault Shield because there aren't a lot of walls in this area anyways. And I just find the Assault Shield to be very gimmicky to use even in normal gameplay. But overall, I've healed 2 times in this run already. Not the best performing build in the game, but it's not too bad if I'm gonna be honest. And here, finally, I find a challenge rift, which I haven't found over like 3 videos that I put out. But I'm gonna do some parries with the shurikens and clear it finally. I do think the Astrolab is one of the most interesting biomes in the game, and I wouldn't mind doing a biome guide on this sometime in the future. But just like that, we're gonna get the second key, and we're gonna go on to the tower to finally finish off the biome. You'll see me here take a couple of hits every now and then, but I still have the food shop that I can use in this biome, so it's really not too much of a concern. I'm really glad that they put a food shop in this biome in the first place, because I would be kind of frustrated if they didn't. Do the cheese with the slammers as always. You can do this legit, I've done it legit a couple of times in the past, but I just don't find too much reason to do it. I'm gonna replace my Impaler with a tier 12 version, get some food, and we're gonna go to the Observatory to finally finish off the fight. To finally finish off the run. You'll see me replace the Frontline Shield with a Bloodthirsty Shield that I found in the shop, and we're gonna go into the Collector boss fight. I've struggled quite a lot with the previous 3 bosses in the game. I haven't got a no-hit so far, so let's see how good I do in this fight. That being said, I don't expect to do too many crits, if not at all, in the Collector fight, because I don't really see the Collector getting propped up against the wall, and just like that, you actually see me doing some crits anyways. The critical hits on this is no joke, for sure. We're gonna get Collector to do the first heal, partly thanks to him being very cooperative and going up against the wall so I can deal additional damage. Unfortunately, could not get the second heal in, but I couldn't really expect too much from this build anyways. 35 stats in Brutality, which is abnormally high in my opinion. My highest is still 37, I don't see how anyone can kind of beat that. I know some people have gotten 40 before, which is absolutely insane. I know before the change to stats, the scroll stats in weapons, you could probably get like 40 plus stats easily. But now it's no longer the case, and I took a huge chunk of damage just previously there, and I just thought, you know, Collector's healing up anyways, I might as well heal up as well. And extended healing is actually doing a lot of work because I topped up all of my health to 100%, and even when I got hit just for a second there, you'll see me recover some of my health. I'm gonna drink the Panacea, do the parry, and Collector is finally down. and we're gonna clear the game with the Impaler, so hopefully you've enjoyed this video, this build. Leave a thumbs up if you did. Hopefully I was able to showcase that the Impaler is a viable weapon that you can run at 5 BC, because it's really not bad if I'm gonna say so myself. Obviously not an S tier weapon, but it's definitely still up there. But in the meantime, stay tuned for the boss guide that I will be releasing very shortly. So until then, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you later.